All right. Hi, everyone that is watching this makeup training. This is Burrito. And if you're on here with me, that means that you have to make up the basic cancer education training for camp this summer. We're all very excited to have you at camp and want to thank you for taking the time to watch these videos, take the quiz that will follow the video. Obviously, our campers are really important to us, and we just want to make sure that you're all going to be as prepared as possible. So, I will go ahead and get started. Just because of the nature of these videos, since we're doing our makeup trainings by video and quiz rather than in person this year, they will be a little more condensed and probably less interactive. But just know that if you have any remaining questions or concerns about anything that we've covered, or you feel like you might want a little more of the interactive experience, you can always reach out to any of us. We're happy to meet up with any of you at any time and answer any questions you guys might have after going through this. So, cool. So the goal of this workshop is basically just to give you guys, if you don't kind of already have one already, a better understanding of what cancer is, how it affects people. Obviously, there's no clear-cut single way that people go through cancer or are affected by cancer. Everyone's experience is unique. So we just want to make sure that you guys are going to be well equipped to react in the right way and be able to support your campers in the very unique ways that they each might need. So yeah, basically the goal is to give all of you guys an understanding of the basics of cancer, how it affects family life, and the behavior of campers. If at any point, like I said, you feel like you want more out of this training than you may have gotten just from this video, I'll go through these handouts, but the cancer.org, cancer.gov, cancer.net, these resources here are also really great for you guys to look at if you do have any more questions. And then in a folder, we've also made these 3 handouts available. Actually, these 2, because the first one's kind of not relevant after going through the training. But these cancer terms and what is cancer handouts are available to you guys. And if you want the link to those to look over again before camp, we can share that again. Okay, so I'm just going to skip down. So first we're going to start with our random things handout. So that is up here. So obviously you can see it's just a list of really, really random objects, things. For the purpose of this, since I can't show you the whole thing, I'm just going to kind of give you guys this first set of options here. That should be more than enough for you to choose from. Choose something that you like, and I'll go back to it in a second. I'm just going to click back here really quick. But so just on your own over the next, I'll give you like 20-30 seconds, think about choose one object from the random things handout and think about how you use that object to either build a treehouse, make a parachute, star in a circus, or escape from a building full of zombies. I know those are really random, but appropriate given this. So go ahead and choose one word, object, whatever it is, and take about 30 seconds to think that through. Okay, so that was just about 30 seconds. So now kind of going back here, think about, why do you think this activity was relevant? Obviously, it's a lot of random words, doesn't really seem like it kind of corresponds with talking about cancer at all, but what do you think was the importance of doing this? Just really quickly, whatever you think. So obviously, I guess this was shown before, but these kind of 3 things here, being prepared for the unknown is really hard. So you chose a random thing, you had to construct or do one of these things. And when you go in with whether it's training like this or some sort of material and you're not really knowing what you're going to be doing with that material, it's hard to understand how it's going to help you. Furthermore, you only have what you're given to be able to do these things. And sometimes it's really hard, especially working with our campers, to kind of get at not why, but how can you use like the trainings you've been given and the preparedness that you've been given throughout this whole year so far. How is that going to help you at camp? It's one thing to go in and be prepared, but to actually kind of experience it is a whole other thing sometimes. So especially if you have a tough situation with a camper, it can be kind of hard to really figure out how's the best way to help them given the tools that you've been provided. So the main thing here is that trying is what counts. More than anything, showing effort and showing your campers that you're there for them is the most important thing, and they will value that more than anything else that you can give them. So obviously you can see here, working with our kids at Camp Custom is a lot like this random things, having to choose a thing and do one of these things. It's a lot like this when it comes to how they're dealing with their caregiver's cancer, and we have no idea what they know. We have no idea what they will want to talk about, and we don't know how they'll express their feelings until you're actually there with them at camp. So this session altogether is about laying the foundation so that you guys are prepared for the unknown. So we're going to move on here. Quickly go over what is cancer in the Cancer Terms handout. Just so you guys get an idea, again, if you don't already know about what cancer is exactly, and the different, kind of different experiences people can have. So first we're going to go here. This will load. So if you want to read it more thoroughly, feel free to pause the video, go through it. Again, these handouts are provided to you guys if you want to look over them, but cancer basically is the name for a group of more than 100 different diseases. Cancer affects all different types of or parts of the body, different types of tissue, organs, everything, and they're all different diseases in and of themselves. They all have different kind of trajectories and affect humans in different ways. And although there are many kinds, they all start because abnormal cells start to grow out of control. And it can be serious. Untreated cancer can cause illness, and eventually, if it continues to remain untreated, and even unfortunately sometimes if it is treated, can lead to death. So skipping down here, like I said, cancer starts when cells in a part of the body start to grow out of control. It's different from normal cell growth. Instead of dying over time, which happens naturally in cells, the cancer cells continue to grow and form new abnormal cells, and they proliferate, which means they start to go really, really fast. Naturally growing cells can become cancerous when there is DNA damage. DNA is in every cell, and it directs the cell's actions. In a normal cell, when the DNA gets damaged, the cell can either repair it or the cell itself will divide. And if it continues to divide and the DNA is not repaired, the cell, like I said, won't die like it should. So it will keep proliferating and eventually lead to cancer. So obviously there are these like cigarette smoking, sun exposure without sunscreen. There are these risk factors, but not limited to what's named here. So cancer spreads when the cells travel to other parts of the body and they grow and form new tumors. And this happens especially when the cells get into the bloodstream or lymph vessels. These are just the quickest ways for the cancer to spread, and over time the tumors will replace normal tissue. And this spreading is called metastasis. And a lot of times once cancer has metastasized, it is much harder to contain and much harder to treat, and can be a lot more life-threatening. So no matter where cancer may spread, this is important tidbit that you might not know, it's always named for the place where it started. So let's say that you have an individual that was diagnosed with lung cancer initially, but then the tumors metastasized and spread to the brain. Even though the individual may now have a form of brain cancer, it's still going to be called lung cancer. And different types of cancer can behave very differently. So lung cancer and skin cancer are very different diseases. Like I mentioned this before, kind of. They grow at different rates. The cells are different. And this is why, cancer treatment itself is personalized, because different people need different treatments in order to hopefully kind of be able to help them with their cancer. Not all tumors are cancer. So sometimes people hear the word tumor, their immediate thought is cancer, and a lot of times it is, but you can also have benign tumors. They can cause problems, but it won't be cancerous, and that the cells won't have this kind of inevitable continuous dividing. And these cells, or benign tumors, these cells do not metastasize, and they're almost never life-threatening. So I'm sure you've all heard our statistic that there are over 5 million children in the U.S. alone that are affected by a parent's cancer. This statistic is even more staggering when you look at the number of people that are themselves affected by cancer. It's half of all men and 1/3 of all women in the U.S. will develop some form of cancer sometime during their lifetimes. So yeah, it's like there are screening tests that can be done. The earlier it's found, the better chances there are for survival. But it is a pretty serious disease, and aside from just affecting your physical health, it can be really, really hard and pretty devastating to loved ones, yourself, anyone else that's in your life, to kind of deal with this debilitating and really, really hard disease. So based on that overview, we're going to go to our cancer terms handout. Quickly go over these. So benign, I mentioned this in the previous handout, benign means not cancerous. Cancer means abnormal, uncontrolled growth. These cells are malignant. So in comparison to benign, which are not cancerous, malignant cells are cancerous. A tumor is an abnormal mass of tissue, and like I said, they can either be benign, not cancerous, or malignant, which is cancerous. And metastasis, again, is this kind of uncontrollable or uncontrolled spread of cancer from one part of the body to another. So the pathology of cancer has three kind of main terms associated with it. The stage of the cancer, which is the extent of cancer in the body. A lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, he's stage 1 or stage 4, and this kind of numerical ordering of cancer shows how far along the cancer has developed. So stage 1 is early stage, stage 4 is the most advanced, and then 2 and 3 are in the middle. And obviously stage 1 is more treatable than stage 4, because stage 4 means the cancer is more developed and has likely metastasized. The grade is how abnormal the cancer cells look under a microscope and how quickly the tumor is likely to grow and spread. High-grade tumors tend to be more aggressive than low-grade tumors. And margins. So this is kind of the outline, or the borders of the tumor. When a tumor is removed, it's examined to determine if the borders of the tumor are cancer-free. So kind of surgeons or cancer doctors will evaluate these borders to see if they have done surgery or if they're doing some sort of other, radiation or chemotherapy treatment, seeing kind of where the border of that cancer it has spread to, or if it's decreased at all. There are also a lot of tests that you can perform on the body. This is not only for cancer, but a lot of times used in cancer treatment to evaluate where a tumor is, where the cancer has spread, so on and so forth. So you have a CT scan, which is a series of X-ray that are combined by computer into images of the bones and soft tissue. And they provide a lot more information than do plain X-rays. You have your MRI, which is another imaging device that's useful for viewing particularly the brain, spine, soft tissue, joints, other parts of the body, and they're different from CT in that they don't use X-rays. You have your PET scan, which is different in that it looks for activity. So your CT and MRI look for main structures in the body. PET scans look for cancerous activity. So this is when people talk about, areas lighting up on a scan. Cancer cells, like any other cells, have to have energy, and they get this energy from glucose, and they because they spread a lot more quickly, they grow and divide a lot more quickly than regular cells do. They use glucose at different rates than normal cells do. So PET scans are used to see if cancer has spread to other parts of the body. Ultrasound uses sound waves to identify tumors and other structures in the body, and tumor markers are blood tests that might indicate the presence of certain cancers in the body. So yeah, that is kind of the sum of different tests that are used. Different terms that are used to describe cancer. Things like chemotherapy, which is a specific type of drug that targets and kills cancer cells. Radiation therapy, use of radiation from X-rays and other sources to kill cancer cells and shrink tumors. These are typically some of the more common types of treatments that are used, that along with surgery, some sort of combined treatment depending on the cancer, how far along it is, all the descriptive things we talked about before. But this might be something if you have campers that know a little bit about, and obviously there's a range of what your campers will and will not know about their parents' cancer. Some will know a lot, some will know really nothing. But these terms are something that you might hear at camp, camper talking about, well, my parent is undergoing this type of treatment, and another one saying, well, mine's doing this. So if they know anything, this might be something that comes up at camp. Hormone therapy, targeted therapies, first-line treatment and second-line treatment are also other therapies that are used. First-line treatment is initial treatment, and second-line treatment is a treatment that is used when the first-line treatment stops being effective, stops kind of containing the spread of the cancer or minimizing the cancer size and all that. And then it goes on. So you're going to have third line, fourth line, fifth line, however many treatments end up being used for cancer treatment. So I'm going to go back to our workshop. Again, if you guys have any questions about any of this, these handouts are available to you, and we're happy to answer any questions. Okay. So campers believe. If you've been to camp before, I'm sure that you have some ideas that are popping into your mind about this. If you have not been to camp before, don't stress too much about this right now. Again, our week of camp is an opportunity for kids to get away from having to think about cancer all the time. And obviously, things like this will come up, but typically you'll have the opportunity to talk to your co-counselors if you have any questions or want to be able to handle the situation. We're always there for each other. But if you want some more information on this, I won't go over it in depth now, but feel free again to reach out if you want more information. There are an infinite amount of family variations that kids are coming to us from. Every family situation is different. Every kid's experience with their with their parents' cancer is different. So here are some of the types that we see. A parent might be in remission, which obviously is great. We love that. We might have a parent that is currently sick and in treatment. We have a parent that has died. We have a parent or step-parent that has, let me start over with that. We might have one grandparent or one step-parent that has cancer. Sometimes we have situations where both parents have cancer, or one parent had it before, another parent has it now. Sometimes our campers have never met their parent that has cancer, but because we are an inclusive environment, we want to include everyone that kind of fits in this category of having a parent or some sort of parent guardian figure in their life that has been affected by cancer. Everyone's story is different, but it doesn't mean that one story is more important or more heartbreaking than the next. We're all always here for all of our campers and to hopefully try to guide them through this really, really tough time in their life. So skipping on down to here, these are just some questions to consider kind of going into camp. I won't make you sit down and write out all of these questions yourselves, but just important things to reflect on. What might your kids be most scared of? This could a lot of times be things like, a parent dying. A lot of times kids are just scared to be at camp. They're scared to maybe talk about their experience for the first time if they don't really have peers in their life at home that they can talk to, or hearing other kids' stories. What might the kids have been exposed to? This can be on a huge range. Like I was mentioning before, some kids know nothing about their parents' experience with the cancer, the treatment they're on, or kind of what the situation looks like right now, while other kids might know everything. And this can be kind of hard because if you have one camper that's talking about all this detail, then you have another camper in your cabin that doesn't know anything. This terminology, if you don't know what it means, can be really scary. So just important things to think about. How might things have changed in their daily routines? Sorry about that. Something that, we see a lot is, especially with older siblings, just, having to take care of their family or their parent, or know what medications they have to take, or know when they're supposed to see the doctor's office, go to the doctor's office to see their doctor. And this is probably more common, obviously, in your older kids, but just keeping in mind that, you are going to have younger kids that know a lot more and some older kids that might know less. It's on a spectrum. How might things be harder socially for the kids? Just especially at a younger age, it's really hard to connect with people. Obviously there's a ton of kids that are affected by a parent's cancer, but it is still kind of on a day-to-day basis. You don't meet a lot of peers that are your age that are experiencing the same thing that you are, and being able to kind of understand what they might be going through. Are they having a harder time at school? Is maybe the kind of worry some about their parents distracting them from being able to focus? Are they being bullied about it? It's kind of a never-ending thing that kids are going through and trying to deal with this, sometimes on their own if they don't really have people that know what they're going through. And then this kind of ties into all of this. What might it be like for these kids? What experience holistically is this camper going through, and how can we be there to help make it a little bit better for them? Another thing to consider, again, I'm not going to make you sit down and write all this out for yourself, but just how, at these different age groups that we serve at Camp Kesem, how would these things that we talked about, these experiences, might maybe look different for each of these age groups? Just another thing to consider. Again, your younger kids might know less, but sometimes they know more than your older kids. And looking at different stages in development too. This is a really, in general, being a preteen and young teenager is really hard and a very stressful time for a lot of people. So adding cancer on top of it, how are they dealing with it? So again, tying back to that, how does their age affect what they know? Are they relatively more or less scared or confused about things? And how has it changed things socially? Some of the behavioral or emotional reactions that our campers experience are anger, confusion, becoming kind of withdrawn, acting out, being mean-spirited, being clingier, that fear that this person might not be around. You kind of tend to hold on. Being scared or either acting inappropriately immature or mature. They might experience these emotions or have these behaviors on a day-to-day basis at home, at school, with family and friends, but it also might come out at camp. So it's important that we emphasize, and we hope that this is coming across in the training. So, if you have a kid that's acting out, don't just go up and punish them. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how they're feeling that day. Make sure that you reach out, ask, are you okay? What's going on? What can I do to be there for you? What do you need? Because ultimately we want to be there for them. We want to give them that emotional support system, and just make sure that they're having as much fun as possible as camp, and also having that love and support that they might really be needing on a particular day. So just here it says every child will react differently to having a parent or caregiver with cancer. And like I said, those are some of the common behavioral and emotional reactions that we might see. So again, just on your own, to kind of reflect on this. What might each of these emotional or behavioral reactions look and sound like based on different ages? Not gonna make you sit here for 10 minutes to think about it, but it is important to reflect on this. And with further training, you'll come to understand how to um, tailor tailor how you react to your age group. And once you get to know your campers, all your campers are individuals. They are amazing, so strong. But they all have their own needs and kind of their own people. So figuring out how to support each person based on their reactions differently is important. So let's see. Next, we have a role play. Again, this requires, more than one person, and maybe you're doing this on your own. If not, feel free to hop with your partner and do some of this. But just these are good kind of cabin chat questions that sometimes find their way into conversations about a camper's experience of cancer. So what might make you happy? A camper could say, I wish, it would make me happy if my parent went into remission or just was feeling better or got healthy. What will you remember most about this year? This could range from a camper saying, I will remember that my parent became healthy, went into remission, and that made me happy. Or, on kind of the other tragic end, I will remember that my parent died. And it's not constrained to just these two types of responses. And remember that these questions might not even circle back to cancer, but keeping in mind that they very well might will be helpful to you. What advice would you give to someone that is younger than you? If your life were a movie, what would be the most important scene? If you could have 3 wishes, what could they be? So you can kind of see how these all connect and might, especially at a camp that serves people that are all on this shared experience of having a parent with cancer, it might be something that's on their minds. The important thing is to encourage realistic dialogue. Get everyone practicing dealing with the unknown. This is for yourself, but again, this encouraging realistic dialogue in terms of just being honest with yourself and just kind of that having that supportive environment at camp with your campers is always good. So if you did the role play, you can kind of think about these questions here. If not, that is the end of this training. So again, if you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out about anything. We're always here for you guys. We want to make sure that you feel prepared for camp and that you're having the best possible experience. So don't forget to take the quiz after you finish watching this video. And I will talk to you guys soon. Love you all. Bye.